Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Snyder's Inc. We got a very interesting one for you from BMAs. He's the one who's been doing the gamers caught cheating videos that I've been reacting to. But this one caught my attention right away, so I had to react to it today. It was fake disabled beggars exposed. Now, I want to see what this is. So, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment what you think down below. Subscribe to BMAs. Let's go.
Anyone can fall on hard times, and when people are forced to sleep on the streets, sparing some food or money can go a long way in helping them get back on their feet. However, sometimes these poor souls aren't as poor as they seem. Occasionally, the streets are home to bogus beggars, feigning disabilities and injuries to wrangle money from pitying onlookers. From con men on crutches to fraudulent fathers, today we're going to check out a collection of scammers that decided to cheat and lie their way into a quick buck as we expose the worst fake disabled beggars ever caught. What the tuck? Let's start from the ground up, checking out a scam artist making their money sitting on the sidewalk. At first glance, this person appears to be an amputee with no choice in life but to sit on the sidewalk and ask pedestrians for cash as they walk by. However, looks can be deceiving, and in this case, the man might not be as down and out as he initially seems.
Nasa isang paa mo? Ha? Nasa isang paa mo? Nasa isang paa mo? Nasa isang paa mo? Pakita mo. Tayo ka nga.
It's a miracle!
What did this guy say? I don't speak that language. What did this guy say? Because this guy said something that made him, like, he kept repeating it to the point that this guy was like, you better, I don't know if he's like, you better move. I didn't know if he called around his shit. I don't know what he did, but this guy literally got him so annoyed that he just left or exposed him. Oh God, my table just moved. I'm curious what happened here. I want to know what that was said.
This video truly captures the healing powers of an angry passerby. The pedestrian's vocal accusations of fraud caused the beggar to miraculously regrow his missing leg, or more accurately, to reveal that his amputated leg was cleverly tucked inside his sports shorts. I'm not sure what misfortunes have led to that guy begging on the streets, but I reckon he would have a pretty profitable career as a street magician. He just made that leg appear out of nowhere. Prop comedy. Next up, we have a South African beggar who decided to use props to support his act, walking through the streets of Cape Town with a set of crutches.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. That's not nice to laugh. But like, it's fake, so I feel like I can't, because no one walks like this, do they? I've never seen someone walk like this. If someone does, I apologize if I seem offensive. This seems like the most overly comedically type of look like I'm disabled type of walking I've ever seen. This is ridiculous. No one walks, there's no way anyone walks like this. What is this?
Hamba kahle ke ngoku, hamba kahle. Ubukade uyephi na? Oh.
This scam artist was caught giving an Oscar-worthy performance as he stumbled in between rows of cars and asked the drivers for change. His performance was just getting started when he spotted a truck driver filming him, seeing straight through the scam. At this point, the beggar dropped the act, taking the weight off his crutches and standing up normally.
What makes me love him was the guy gave him money still. The guy gave him money for the worthy performance he put on. It's a very bizarre performance, but the man literally put on a great performance, so he's like, I'll give you some money. Here you go. Here's I think here's some more money. Here's $20, here's $10 for some, Oscar-worthy performance. This is insanity.
As he approached the truck, he started laughing, shaking his
Sorry, I had to do something quickly.
cup as he asked the truck driver for money. Surprisingly, the truck driver obliged, putting a bill in the beggar's cup and sending him on his way. I guess a little bit of honesty goes a long way, even if you're being honest about being dishonest.
I'm about to say, like, you know, you get honest performance, you put on a good performance for some reason. This guy must appreciate the attempt. So he paid him, I guess, for some reason.
Father-son bonding. So far, these bogus beggars have been one-man shows, but this next fraudster decided to recruit a tiny little accomplice to help him with his scam. There's nothing more wholesome than a family business, and unlike the South African beggar, this dad uses his kid as a crutch, propping his scam up with his son. I'm sure the kid's bandaged hand earned the duo a ton of money, but eventually somebody saw through the act, asking the father to remove the kid's bandage to prove that he was really injured.
Oh my god. Holy crap.
As the father unwrapped his son's bandage, without the tenderness you'd expect for a real injury, he revealed that the kid had a perfectly healthy, functioning hand. Usually a healthy, uninjured child is a good thing, but in this case, the mob surrounding the panhandler became furious, causing the visibly guilty duo to walk away and make their escape. The beggar's hardly the dad of the year.
That is downright disgusting. That is downright disgusting, the fact that he is using his kid to scam people. That is disgusting to me.
But hey, at least he's bonding with his kid. My dad wouldn't even trust me to mow the lawn. A family day out. From one family man to another, this next beggar takes family time even further, employing his wife and 4 children to help out with his scheme.
Are you kidding? How do you convince you people to do... Now again, this is from a different country, so maybe that this is a different situation where they're desperate for money that badly. But my brain just can't figure out how you would sell yourself this badly. Where you would actually be okay with having your kids, and if you're the wife yourself, involved in this scam. I don't know how...
This clip shows a family in Pakistan on a big day out. The father shuffling down a road as his family follows close behind. The patriarch appears to be in a pretty bad way. While he moves through the area he usually conducts his begging in. But as soon as he turns into an alleyway and sits down, his demeanor completely changes.
Son of a bitch. I mean, I don't know if I'd... Maybe I'm just a mean person. I don't know if I'd fall for that anyways. I'm gonna guess he probably didn't get much money, because I don't know if anyone would fall for that.
As his children circle around him, the dad quickly changes out of his begging clothes, jumps to his feet, and walks away, the group escaping the scene of the crime. I'm sure the family thought they'd gotten away scot-free. However, someone obviously caught the entire thing on camera, and the damning footage caused a public outrage on social media and major news sites. My family day trips usually end with arguments, but this family's ended with international media uproar.
I bet they were found quickly. I bet you they couldn't try this trick again.
That's definitely one for the scrapbook. Child prodigy. That family of fraudsters was led by their father, but this next kid decided to go it alone, doing all of his begging solo. This kid is a natural, carrying out a professional-looking scam at an incredibly young age.
I'm about still give the kid credit. He attempted this this kid's very young to be attempting this stuff. He studied hard for scammers, I guess. I don't know. He figured this military guy just didn't fall for any of his shit and just immediately fucking exposed his ass.
While his act is pretty convincing, unfortunately for him, a passing soldier saw straight through his scam, picking the kid up to reveal his healthy legs. The kid had all of his limbs, but he didn't have a leg to stand on, forced to rise to attention and sulk as the soldier walked away. That kid isn't the only young scammer that's been publicly exposed, and this teenager...
Can I just say, what would have happened if that kid actually had the issue and this guy was just yanking and trying to expose his ass? Like, I'm gonna hope he knew who the kid was and that's why he did it. Like, Tim is still grabbing a random ass, person just trying to expose their ass while making them look foolish.
met a similar fate when he asked a couple of passing police officers for some change. This prank
Oh my god, I love how petty his ass is. Like, he's so angry at the fact he got exposed. The police went over and just like, your ass ain't doing this shit. Get out or we are arresting you. And he just like is so salty and walked away. Bro, you're scamming people. Piss off.
kid wanted some cash, but the policeman, clearly familiar with these kinds of antics and how to spot a fraud, had other ideas, recognizing the trick and yanking the boy to his feet. The teenager goes from begging for cash to begging to be left alone, praying for forgiveness as the men force him to stand up, exposing his scam in the process. Of course, it goes without saying that if you suspect the beggar is a phony, you shouldn't drag them to their feet, just in case they really are legitimately disabled. But in this case, the kid's fraudulent farce was...
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's weird when you suspect, you have to come up with a better way, because if he actually is disabled, and don't have to, you're gonna cause, that will be worse for you, because then it makes you like a horrible person. So don't do this trick. Find out a different way to do it.
Was indeed exposed by the police, no less. I guess he should have prayed a bit harder. Old to young. Let's leave school now, moving from some kiddie fraudsters to an elderly beggar, asking for spare change in New York. New York is famous for its hustle and bustle, and back in 2012, Inside Edition uncovered a crazy hustle going on in the city's streets. With a hunchback and a headscarf to fight the cold, this elderly beggar spends her time begging on Fifth Avenue, a street in Manhattan known for its high-end stores.
Please don't tell me this is a young person pretending to be old. Don't tell me this is a young person pretending to be old to get money. You're in New York City. How desperate are you? You can't live in New York City unless you at least got some goddamn money.
And luxury apartments. Fifth Avenue has been nicknamed Millionaire's Row, and as rich yuppies and businessmen walk by on their way to work, the beggar reportedly receives 50 cash donations an hour, earning tens of thousands of dollars a year.
Okay, my credit. I'll give him credit. Listen, I'm an honest man. I'll give them credit. That is a great attempt. They actually are able. She gets 50 donations an hour, getting thousands of dollars a year. You know what? It's working. It worked until she got exposed, but it worked.
As you can imagine, a beggar earning all that money started to attract some attention from New Yorkers, and when folks began to suspect something may be amiss, and
yeah, how I feel the thing is, once you're getting that amount of money and you still consistently need to beg, that's when it becomes an issue.
investigative journalists at Inside Edition started to look into the woman's story. The journalists were suspicious of the woman, so they decided to follow her, waiting to see where she went after her day of begging was over. What they found left their jaws on the floor. The woman reportedly took a bus around the corner before hopping in the back of a minivan, and after driving around for a while, the van pulled over and the beggar hopped back out without the hunched posture, ditching the withered old babushka vibe entirely. Talk about a makeover. The beggar had transformed into a woman 50 years younger, like a conniving Benjamin Button. The investigators watched on as the scammer waltzed around the city, meeting up with friends and doing a little shopping with her ill-gotten gains. The next day, the woman was back at Fifth Avenue, hunched over and shaking. The journalist decided to confront her, but as they approached and called her out, she never broke character, simply asking the journalists if they had any spare change, before walking away and continuing her scam elsewhere. Clearly, being so impressively committed to the role, perhaps she'd be better off taking her act to Broadway.
I'm gonna say, like, listen, if this girl's that dedicated to the goddamn character, that dedicated to it, give her an opportunity. She clearly is a good actor. She clearly knows how to do this shit. Clearly knows how to good actor. Fucking hire her ass. She knows what she's doing.
Unwrapping the scam. That costume work was pretty impressive, but the New Yorker isn't the only beggar whose scam involves an elaborate custom outfit. This seemingly one-legged beggar was sitting on the floor begging for change when he was called out by an angry mob. The beggar protested, but the mob weren't going to let him get away, forcing him to expose the scam. At this point, the beggar was forced to play a solo game of pass the parcel, unwrapping his scam layer by layer. It turns out his leg was strapped underneath his body, held in place by 3 pairs of pants and some tight pieces of fabric. The binding was so tight that his skinny leg was nearly invisible, and the scam was only revealed when he pulled off the final layer. Despite getting caught, the lengths that this beggar went to achieve his scam is almost impressive. But as with many of the clips we've seen so far, you have to ask, when you're choosing to put yourself through this much discomfort just to earn a little money, aren't there more dignified ways of doing it than uncomfortable disabled beggar scams? I mean, sure, the McDonald's kitchens may be hot, but at least they let you have all your limbs on show while you earn your money. Lazy beggars.
Lazy.
This next beggar didn't bother with a custom outfit, carrying out a one-armed scam that was a bit less elaborate. I feel like the guy could have put a bit more effort into his act. A slightly better costume might have made it so that as he approached cars and asked for change, it wasn't so easy for a passerby to run over and lift his loose-fitting shirt, showing that his missing arm was lazily tucked into his pants. Ultimately, though, the deception is most harmless, but the beggar isn't the only lazy fraudster out scamming in the streets.
It's people like this that I'm just like, how do you have no shame in yourself when you do this? How do you have no shame? I have to know. Like, how?
At first, this Johannesburg beggar appeared to be legless, stuck in the middle of a busy road. If the man was truly disabled, then this would be a pretty dangerous spot for him to get stuck. However, soon enough, the police came around to check on him, and their presence triggered a miracle. The legless beggar standing up and walking away. It turns out the man wasn't legless, but he was shameless, scamming pedestrians by tucking his legs into his sweater and hiding them behind a plastic bag. This trick is pretty simple, and though it might work on pedestrians, the beggar clearly didn't want to test his legless act against the long arm of the law. Low-speed chase. From one police bus to another, this next clip shows the moment that a beggar in Bogota, Colombia had his scam scuppered when he was approached.
At least most of these aren't in like high. Like the New York one was the only one so far where I'm like, you didn't need to do this? It worked for their advantage, but they didn't need to do it. Most of these are in like low income, hard to get money type areas, so that like people do anything to get money.
By a pair of motorcycle cops.
No, súbete al andén, súbete al andén. Estoy desnudo.
No, súbete al andén, que eso no.
Aquí quedo
No,
desnudo.
súbete al andén, quita, no, no importa.
Ah, bueno, aquí quedo desnudo.
¿Y la ropa dónde está?
Ah, ¿no ves
¿Dónde?
que me la robaron ustedes mismos? Me la llevaron y la botaron. ¿Y qué? ¿Le estoy robando algo a usted?
So these are police who just went over. It's like, we know you're scaring me, but you better get out of here now. Type of situation.
¿Estoy robando algo a usted? Ah, ay, ese sapo. Todo lo que me tienen que decir es ellos. Usted no tiene que decir nada, pirón.
Ya, es la grosería.
No, un sapo metido.
Es la grosería, hermano.
No le importa nada.
Es al mocho, ahora le sale la otra pierna.
Pirón, no le importa nada. Mire.
Talk about getting caught with your pants down. Reportedly, the policeman recognized this swindler from a previous arrest and they knew that he was faking his disability.
So he's done this before and then tried again. Done this before, got arrested before, then tried this again. Are you kidding me? How did he actually think he would not get caught doing this?
As they approached, they demanded that the scammer show them his injury, but the beggar protested, shouting, "I'm going to be naked." To be fair, nobody wants to see that guy in his birthday suit, but the cops called his bluff, forcing him to pull his jeans off. The beggar eventually relented, pulling off his pants and jumping to his feet, making his escape in his boxers. Thank God he wasn't wearing tighty-whities. Liar lying down. They say that beggars can't be choosers, but that beggar chose to scam people out of their money. And he isn't the only one. Let's take it one leg further, checking out a fake disabled beggar that's totally legless. No, I said legless, not Legolas. Check it. Unlike his elven counterpart, this double amputee doesn't slide on shields. He rolls around on a trolley, pulling himself around as he begs for money in Luzhou, China. Unfortunately for the beggar, he was recognized by a pedestrian that had previously stood next to him on the bus that morning. The passerby...
Oh, the worst person to be exposed by. He saw him on a bus standing next to him this morning. The guy walked over to him and was like, "I saw you stand on a bus. You are not disabled this way. You need to stop."
had watched the supposed amputee walk on and off the bus with two perfectly healthy legs, so seeing him on the ground like this raised a few alarm bells, to say the least. Seeing through the scammer's trick, the passerby decided to expose the beggar, pulling down his pants to reveal his legs tied up behind his body. To be fair to the scam artist, he is a method actor. He still rolls away on his trolley even after being exposed to the world. Now that's commitment to a role. Accidentally exposed. While some fake beggars get exposed by passers-by with an intent on revealing their scam, this next fellow was just a bit unlucky as a woman exposed his scam by accident. That guy got exposed in every sense.
He got exposed by accident. Look at what they mean. He could have stepped on his thing accidentally. Exposed the fact that he had legs. Oh, that sucks.
Of the word, as the woman's misstep revealed his scam and his underwear. That said, to be honest, that video feels a little too good to be true. And the fact that someone conveniently happened to be filming this supposed accident suggests that there's a good chance that it's staged. The video might be as fake as that beggar's disability, but either way, the video does show that these bogus beggars are so common in some countries that they're starting to get parodied online. In fact, the scam artists are so widespread, their antics have also been parodied in TV shows and commercials like this one from Thailand. pretty hilarious. I just hope that commercial doesn't give the scam artists out there any ideas. Contortionist. Unlike the beggar in that commercial, most real scammers never expose their tricks to the public. However, in 2015, Bangladeshi beggar Sajan Raju decided to capitalize on the publicity and attention that fake beggar scams garner by showing off his tricks on TV. Sajan puts the con in contortionist, twisting his body to convince pedestrians that he suffers from a disability. If Sajan wanted to, I'm sure he could get a job in the circus, seeing as that level of sustained contortion is actually pretty impressive.
That is very impressive. That is actually insanely impressive.
However, his street scams are allegedly pretty lucrative, giving him no reason to apply for a full-time job. Sajan claims that he earns around $500 a month for panhandling, and that's around 4 times the average monthly salary in Bangladesh. For most people, begging on the streets feels like a last resort, but with that salary, Sajan's scam somehow actually beats working a 9 to 5. Indeed, it's rumored that some of these fraudsters actually earn far more money than they could at a regular job, depending on where they're based. So they opt to beg on the streets for very real financial gain. While that may explain why these people are willing to sit in highly uncomfortable positions all day, before you quit your job and head to the sidewalk, remember that these scammers don't get dental cover, so it's probably best to stick to the office. A handy scam. While we've seen plenty of leg-related scamming so far, journalists from Chinese Central Television came across this beggar a few years back, who seems to have gone for more of a no hands, no feet approach. Dragging himself down the road on his arms, he was seen using an empty paint can to collect his cash. The man's act is fairly convincing, even if it is a bit confusing as to what is exactly he's presenting as wrong with his body. However, the cameraman soon revealed that this stump-handed beggar had a trick up his sleeve. The trick in this case was his hands, and the camera later captured the fraudster sat up straight with his hands out of his sleeves counting the bills, no longer caring about keeping his secret hidden now that the day's work was over. Not a bad profit from a day of work, at the very least enough to pay for the bus home. Caught regular-handed. Let's stick to the hands now, moving from a disappearing disability to a disappearing wound. This beggar claimed to have been involved in a terrible accident.
I'm all of the fact. This look has like, why? Why didn't you do that to me? Why? Why didn't you expose me? Why couldn't you just let me scam people? Like, she's so confused. She's in shock.
Leaving her hand severely wounded. While begging, the woman was spotted by a policeman who saw straight through her scam, walking over to the woman to expose her on camera. The policeman confronted her, grabbing her wrist and unwrapping her bandages. As the bandages disappeared, so did her injuries, the cop revealing a perfectly healthy hand under the dressing. If the woman really was injured, then that would have been pretty awkward. But in this case, the officer protected and served her some sweet justice, catching the woman red-handed. Or rather, red-bandaged? Blind man's bluff. A lot of these beggars put a huge amount of work into their acts, taping, tucking, or creating special outfits to help perfect their scams. This next guy didn't bother going to all that effort, deciding to earn some money by pretending to be blind. Unfortunately for this scammer, his blind man's bluff wasn't very strong. This woman exposing his scam with her handbag, proving that when he's under attack, he can see just fine.
is that your... What? Did she think he was faking it? Or is that what she just rarely would have done to a blind person? I'm confused why she just even did that in the first place, in all honesty. I'm glad she exposed him. I'm just confused why she did that in the first place.
While that clip, as I'm sure you'll agree, certainly has the feel of another scripted setup and poorly acted video, there are other clips to be found online that are a little more convincing. Here's another example of a passerby calling out a blind man's bluff that emerged online in the mid-2010s, and may have even inspired the one we just saw. This beggar was trying to rob pedestrians blind, donning a pair of sunglasses to trick people into giving him money. Unfortunately for him, this passerby saw straight through his disguise, and instead of turning a blind eye, he decided to expose him. As the pedestrian threatens to kick the beggar, he jumps back in shock, attempting to escape the impact. Now, granted, we may be witnessing a real-life Matt Murdock here, able to sense the world around him through heightened hearing. But given all that dishonesty we've seen so far, I'm certainly more inclined to believe we have another certified scammer on our hands. Well, either that or it's another pair of fake beggar video fakers, both of them in on the truth, who fake their way into fooling the internet into thinking that any part of their fake filmed setup is real. But what do you think? True blindness, fake beggar, or entirely fake scenario? Let me know in the comments down below. The secret of youth. Those blind beggars aren't the only scammers that were exposed by some physical intervention. In Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, a homeless elderly woman was begging for money when she was approached by a puzzled pedestrian. The passerby looked past her headscarf and glasses, noticing something very strange about the woman. As the man approached, he asked her, "Hi, Granny, don't you want to show your face?" After the woman refused, he removed her glasses and headscarf, revealing a young woman with black hair. I've heard that hair dye and moisturizer can work wonders these days, but in this case, the scammer was...
What's hilarious about some of these scammers, even if they are real, is just what causes the situation where you, like, reveal them. Is there someone telling you, so you want evidence? Like, in this situation, he just walked over to her and just like, yeah, you're fake, I can clearly tell. And just did that? Like, I'm confused what caused the setup to get these people exposed.
It's clearly a young to middle-aged woman posing as a decrepit elderly person for sympathy and money. People will do anything for those senior citizen discounts. So that a legitimate old lady was more interested in her bankroll than boiled candies, but there's still something important to remember here. The vast majority of people on the streets genuinely do need our help, and the work of a few scam artists shouldn't stop you from giving to those in need. So despite there being plenty of examples online of fakery, remember that these are the minority. You'd be best off assuming most down on their luck folks, especially those with evident disabilities, are in need of a helping hand rather than being exposed as frauds. And if you see a suspiciously young-looking babushka lady panhandling for loose change, no need to call her out. Just take smug comfort in the fact that you know what's really up. So,
I would agree with that statement. If you see, don't assume every homeless or person or whatever is a scam. And I know some of the thought process mostly with homeless people is they're gonna use it for drugs. That's one I've heard many times. My thing is, doesn't matter, because in your mind, if you don't know what that homeless person is doing it for, but in your thing, you've done a good deed giving them money. That's a good deed on you. Whatever they choose to do with the money you give them is not on you, and should not be a concern of yours. Because if they choose to use it badly, that's on them, not on you. That's all I'm saying. So don't feel like you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't give someone, a person down on their luck, money. Because if you do, it's your good deed. It's a good deed by you. Don't worry about what they are doing. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment what you think down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.